Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore, and this is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional in Ontario. I am so happy you're here. Today we're going to be talking about how success leaves clues, which is one of my most favorite Tony Robbins quotes, but success leaves clues for realtors. So what does that mean? We're going to talk a little bit about relighting the fire and finding that passion for why we do what we do, choosing the right circle to be around, and also some really important books and resources that you can go and take a look at later. So let's just dive right in. So relighting the fire, whether you've been a realtor for 5 months or 50 years, at one point, you're going to have to re-examine why you are doing this. So a lot of people, when they get into the business, we hear it all the time. They say, I love people, I love houses. This is what I have to do. This is just the perfect combination of people and houses. And it's true. You're definitely in the house business, but you're in the people business. And the people business can be really tough. It can be hard to navigate. And it really, really takes a strong why to do what you're doing. We're recording this in 2024, and as anyone listening knows, we've had a bit of a shakeup in the business in the last little while. And basically what's happened is that we went from COVID in 2020, where March 2020, everything kind of shut down, including real estate. It was like game over. And then in April 2020, things started to heat up. We were showing houses in hazmat suits. We had gloves, we had masks, we had spray, everything. And the real estate market went crazy. It kind of slowed down a little bit that year, but by the beginning of 2021, it was nuts. There were crazy multiple offer situations. If you just put a Post-it on a door, you'd probably just be managing the lineup of buyers. Interest rates were low, and it was an insane time. The average number of offers people were putting in, if I remember correctly, was 9 to 13 offers per house. And they were going in, no conditions, just go for it and figure it out later. I know a lot of those people maybe made some ill-advised choices. Some people were happy with it. Ultimately, there's nothing we could do about it now. But as 2021 kind of roared in, and then even 2022, it did slow down kind of in April in London, Ontario, kind of mid-April, just very abruptly, everything kind of shifted. But then it stayed steady all through that year. And 2023 was a little bit slower, but still busy. And then 2024 is kind of a different type of year where it's still busy, but the timelines are a little different, and you're really needing to lean into your skills as a realtor a little bit more. For people that came into the market and into the real estate industry during that 2020, 2021, 2022, a lot of the agents that I mentor are in that category. It was really hard to learn your job, because what was your job? Was your job just kind of answering the phone and then going out and writing an offer? And that's a great situation, but you're not learning a lot. So you're not learning how to write conditions. You're not learning how to talk people through a home inspection. You're not learning how to build a relationship with the lending professionals or build a relationship with other people that are involved in the sale. It's just kind of very fast, go. And if you happen to be the listing agent, you were the king on the hill. And if you were one of the lowly buyer agents, you just had to hope that your offer was accepted. Please consider us. And I think a lot of bad habits were created in that time. I know a lot of bad habits were created in that time. The idea of marketing a property kind of fell to the wayside, and it really was you look back and houses it was very easy to sell a house. At the same time, a lot of agents struggled because it was very hard to sell a house with a buyer. So you have a buyer, they're pre-approved, but they keep getting blown out of the water. And it was hard to manage those emotions. And even now, like, multiple offer situations are never fun for buyers. They can be stressful for sellers too, but for buyers, it's really tough because you finally get the house, like, this is the one we want, we have the money, we're set, our ducks are in a row, and all of a sudden you're fighting for it with a few people. And at the end of the day, the sellers can only choose one because there's only the one house. It can be it's tough. It's tough no matter what. And as an agent, like, especially for those of us that got in because we really just love making a difference, we love helping people, giving bad news after bad news after bad news can be really, really wearing on your spirit, on your emotions. A lot of people, I think, had burnout at that time, and there was really no break. So in those 2 years, it was work, and real estate spring kind of was all the time. I think January 1st, things like out of the gate started really busy, and it wasn't really until last year and this year where things were starting to kind of slow down. And it's important when things do slow down. So if you're in a situation where they're not slowing down and you're busy, I'm hoping that you get an assistant or some help. Because you are, again, we've talked about in other episodes, you are the only resource you've got. So you really have to take care of your emotions, you have to take care of your health, your sleep, and make sure that you are able to keep going, because burnout is not pretty and it will take you out of the game for longer than you want. Ideally, if you do have time, if things have slowed down, this is when you learn. You learn in a down market. You learn when you have the time so that you can sharpen those skills, and when it does get busy again, which it will, you'll have all the skills and you'll be ready to go. So that's the key. If it was always at steady pace, you need help because you still need a break. And if it does slow, there's some breaks in the crazy, then that's when you learn. So relighting that fire, so that passion, it's funny. So there's a movie that Brian Buffini referenced when I was getting ready to go to a conference this year, and it was Groundhog Day. And they talk about in Groundhog Day, Bill Murray's character, Phil, is just so miserable. He hates his job, he hates his life, and he's just going through the motions. And the idea was, like, are you going through the motions? When a client calls, are you excited for that call the same way you were at the beginning? If you're at the beginning of your career, are you taking any call and just like showing them 50 houses without any qualification? And it matters to have the skills, but you also need that excitement. And so what will excite you? What makes it amazing again? And my coach recently, I'm in coaching with Buffini and Company. My coach is awesome, Coach Tony. He will often say things to me, and sometimes if I get annoyed, it's because he has hit the nail on the head. And he was saying, I was telling him about some of my frustrations, and he said, well, that's why we work by referral, isn't it? We work by referral so that those relationships that choose us, we have an easier time. The trust is there, the relationship is there, and we could just work so hard and be appreciated. And that is the dream. So being shown gratitude for the hard work we do is a big deal, because we love to love on our clients, and so when they love on us too, it's gold. But other ways that we get business sometimes don't bring us that same feeling of happiness and gratitude. So if you're getting, for example, like cold leads from a lead service, which is actually what I was talking about with him, you will have people, like, you will just do everything for them and nothing is ever good enough, or they won't answer your call, or there's no respect. And I personally don't want to work in that situation. And I think a lot of us, if we're choosing, we don't want to work in that situation. It is not the cost of doing business. You are a human being, and there might be realtors out there that are fine with being spoken to a certain way or not being appreciated. I think a lot of us that go above and beyond we don't want to be that realtor. And so when you work by referral, which is really just an extension of the trust you built with someone, where they're extending that trust back to you and saying, hey, you did such a great job for me. Would you also do a great job for this person? It feels so good. It is a happy, happy situation. But it's also referrals from people that you've met or from people in your business network. It really depends where the bulk of your relationships come from. One of the girls on my team, she gets a lot of referrals from her social network because that's kind of where she shines with these amazing people. And so where are you building that trust? And then can that extend to where you're working with people from those referrals? That would be so wonderful. And if you're just starting out, I've said before, I had to just start out 3 times. And if you're just starting out, a great thing to do is to lean into your strengths. I love connecting with businesses. I love connecting with entrepreneurs. And so I build my relationships with them by getting to know them, supporting them, and showing them who I am as a person and as a business person. And then the referrals come that way. But if you have a great network of sports, or you have a great network of other parents, or a musician, whatever your niche market is of relationships. So you can have a niche market of houses you like to sell. You're going to have relationships that come a little bit easier to you than others. That's what you want to focus on. So those are the referrals, and you just let people know that you are happy to help their clients. You're happy to be there to answer questions. It doesn't have to be an active sale, and that's probably the most important. So working with referrals is so wonderful. People go out on a limb to send you a referral. So if someone sends you a connection, that connection doesn't have to turn into a sale for you to be grateful for it. So if they go out of their way to recommend you to someone, they should get a thank you. I recommend a thank you card because it says, you didn't have to send someone to me, and I really appreciate you. And I think it's pretty hard to argue against showing gratitude, but if you don't feel comfortable with a card, you could send a text or an email or a phone call, or however you want to do it. Showing people that you appreciate them is a big deal because it rewards the behavior of them sending you that referral. And when you're dealing with, for example, with businesses, sending them clients to say, thank you so much for that referral. I have another referral for you. And making that reciprocity known is also really great. So referrals are fantastic. Choosing the right circle. So it goes into, you want to work with clients who A+, respect you, amazing. You are the professional. You are the customer service professional. It is your job to deliver the best service, which obviously, to my point earlier, you can't do if you are not passionate anymore, but to deliver that best service and to really just go out of your way. If you do that and the people are not respecting or being grateful for you, it might just be not the right people for you. And that's okay. Here's the thing. There's enough business to go around. There are enough clients to go around, and there are definitely enough realtors to go around. So sometimes we put on this cape and well, if I don't help, who will help? Someone else will help. You want to believe that you're the person that would help the best, and I hope that's true, but someone else will help. And you also could focus on clients who respect you and appreciate you a little bit more. I mentioned this in one of my mentoring sessions, and I think it's interesting to share. So I always have little tells for the clients, the A+ clients who are going to just treat you like family and refer you, and it's just going to be wonderful. One of the first things they will do is they offer you a drink, a water, a coffee, a tea. It's working hours. If they offer you anything stronger, I'd say, sorry, I'm working, but they will offer you a drink. And in reference to Erin Brockovich, so if you have not seen Erin Brockovich, please you can even YouTube this scene where Erin and Ed are sitting in the living room of one of their clients, and they offer him some coffee. And he's like, no thanks. And she's like, have an effing cup of coffee, Ed. And I love that part because it's so true. It's like they're offering you, have something. I usually just grab water because I feel bad if they have to go to the trouble of making a coffee, and I don't like everyone's tea, and who wants to be annoying about generosity. So I just say, absolutely, I'd love a glass of water. And I drink the water because I'm in the middle of talking with them about their homes. So yes, I'll probably get thirsty, but have an effing cup of coffee. So that's the first tell. They'll offer you something. And it's kind of just like emphasizes you're a human being, you're a guest in their home, please have something. It doesn't always mean they're going to choose you or work with you. I've also had people offer me water when they were kind of using me for information, but we'll get to that in a second. But they'll offer you a drink. The other thing they will do is they will respect that you are the professional. So one of the questions we like to ask is, what do you think your house is worth? It's in the middle of the conversation, and they will often say, which is fine, they say, oh, well, you're the professional. I have no idea. You tell me. And so the response is, yes, absolutely. I am the professional, and I am going to pull all of the comparisons and give you a range. I'm just wondering, for frame of reference, everyone has an idea in their mind about what their house is worth. What is yours? Now, the ones that refuse to answer that question, I almost can guarantee will not become your client. But yeah, you just want an idea, because ultimately we all have access to the same data. It is going to sell in the range that market value says it's going to sell for, but it's nice to know, what are they thinking? Another thing that we do is we kind of walk around the home together and I just ask them to point things out. So this is all from Brian Buffini and his trainings, but we'll just like ask them to show you around, ask questions while you're doing it, take notes. And one of my colleagues actually used to go around and measure the rooms while they were going through. So that she'd get them to help with a tape measure. If you are inept at a tape measure like me, there are amazing laser measurers. It's like somewhere between $25 and $50. So worth it. It is an investment in your business. I look like a fool when I'm trying to use a tape measure. And if you are an expert tape measure person, absolutely, old school is the best, but the laser makes me happy. So she'll measure the rooms and write it down in her notes while she's talking as kind of like a first step towards working together, which is pretty cool. And so they're just little things, right? So using your first name is a big one. I've had people before refer to me as the real estate or the realtor. Realtor. But either way, I'm Krystal. So when people refer to me by my name, it's usually a much better step versus the real estate, just another nameless face in the crowd. And those are just a few things, but it really comes down to what's that interaction like. This is going to be a little bit longer. I think we're going to go all the way to the 20 minutes today, but I think you will find it well worth it. A few books and resources I wanted to point out. So Chris Voss and Steve Schul have a cool book called The Full Fee Agent. And Chris Voss, as you recall, wrote Never Split the Difference. And he is a former FBI negotiator, which I think is so cool. But The Full Fee Agent, now, if you're listening and you happen to be in the US, I know there's a lot going on in that landscape, but this chapter does not change regardless of the situation. The Full Fee Agent, Chapter 2, Are You the Favorite or Are You the Fool? Chris gives some awesome suggestions. Chris or Steve, whoever is speaking in the audiobook, gives awesome suggestions on questions you can pose and the way you can pose them to find out very quickly if you are the favorite, so if it's most likely yours to lose, or are you the fool? Are you the second or third agent that's come in just to help the people reinforce that they made the right decision with the agent that they're actually choosing? It's important to find out because we have a limited amount of time, and if someone is going to meet with you and you're going to prepare for that meeting, you're wasting your time, and that's not fun. It's also important as you're going through all of this to make sure that you're striving for the goals that you want to achieve. So I mentioned earlier about 2020, 2021, 2022. Everyone had these anomaly years. Everyone I spoke to anyway. I know there were people that were really not having a great time in this time. But the people that were doing well were doing very, very, very well. And naturally, everyone wants to take their goals, and you look at what you did the year before and you try to go more, and isn't that great? And more is not always better. So if you are selling like so many houses a year and you don't have time for a vacation, or your family forgets who you are, or you have not been able to enjoy the home that you work so hard to pay for, is it really serving your goals? We all have one life. Every day that we live is the last one like that we'll get. So on this journey, are you living and striving towards the goal that you actually want? Is making more money and selling more houses and more. Is that for you? You can be very wealthy without continually striving for more and more. And I'm not suggesting that you not grow and continue to thrive. I'm just suggesting that you review your goals and make sure that the activities you're doing and the things you are focused on are serving you and your goals and your life. Because that's how you're going to relight that passion when you are working because you want to and you love it. And it's not always about more. It's not about getting this listing before someone else gets it, or selling. Like, yes, serve your clients, do an amazing job serving your clients, but do it because you want to, do it because you love it, and find that passion, because that's what's going to make you succeed. And the success you'll have is the one that you really, really want, not just because you're trying to outdo a year that will probably not come again. And it is good to hit your goals. It is good to have your values and to have your vision board and work towards your goals. But just make sure that you know that what you're striving for is what you actually want. And that is the key. So thank you so much for listening, guys. A little longer today. I am so excited about the journey that we're on, and I personally have taken this advice and I have relit the fire of passion and excitement, and I'm so happy that you are on this journey with me. Have an amazing day, and we will talk to you soon. This is Krystal Lucier, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore in London, Ontario, Canada. Thanks for listening.